to show your agenda because I don't mess up it. Here, let me get on my. I'm just going to stay standing because as soon as I sit down, you'll fall off. Oh, no.
All right. Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the council meeting for Monday, March 10th to session. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and we will observe a moment of silence. Allegiance to the flag. Okay, thank you. Mr. Sabazi, would you take roll call, please?
Okay, we'll start with our junior council people, Adam Smith. Here. Mercy Newell.
Here.
Councilman Dern.
Here?
Councilman Majernik. Here. Councilman Purcell.
Here.
Councilman Rossler. Councilwoman, I'm sorry. Councilman Schlock.
Here.
Councilman Seitz.
Here.
Councilman Taylor. Here. Mayor Schlegel.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month of February.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Taylor. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Mr. Majernik. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the expenses for the month of February.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Taylor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Seitz. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Motion to approve the minutes of the February 10th, 2025 council meeting. I have a motion by Ms. Rossler on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Recognition of achievements in the community.
Thank you. In order to save some time, because they're going to harass me about how much I talk and all the whereases I use. So I'd like you to pay attention to the monitors. We've got a short video to kind of give you an overview of what these two gentlemen accomplished. They saw a need, and they took it upon themselves to do something about it. And for that, we're going to recognize them. But look at what they accomplished.
I've been in veterans hospitals. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I know what it's like in the evenings, and I saw a great need.
The big problem that the veterans have is nighttime. The depression is horrible.
84% of the veterans are moderately severe symptoms of depression. About 20 veterans kill themselves every day, commit suicide. That's 7,300 veterans a year that commit suicide.
And so it occurred to us that, you know, a nighttime activity, such as astronomy, could give them something to do in the darker hours of the evening. That was how it all started.
It was the Knights of Columbus that came to us saying, we'd like to raise the money to buy a telescope, to build an observatory, and to figure out how to do that here on the campus so that we can involve as many veterans as possible.
When we first started out, the projected cost of this project was $85,000.
Oh, it was huge for the Knights. They were first shocked by the cost, but they said, no, we're gonna do it. This is important, and they raised the money. They raised all the money for this.
We visited 84 different assemblies and councils. That's where about 85% of the money come from that. I mean, the amateur astronomers have been great and helped us. I met Diane Turnchik, and she's going to be providing formal training for the veterans so that they can learn astronomy.
Everybody loves
the sky and the moon looking at it. I think everybody should see the dark night sky. It's entrancing, makes you feel big, but it also makes you feel small. And if you have problems, they are also infinitesimal, tiny little specks in the grand scheme of things. This is an idea? Perfect. The Knights of Columbus are amazing. I really appreciate what they've done.
As soon as I come out and open up the roof, there's veterans, they come out and some sit there all night with me. The Knights, they should be congratulated for everything they did.
We knew that there was gonna be an impact on the veterans. They wanted this, and they made it known that they wanted this to happen.
The mission of the fourth degree is patriotism, taking care of the vets. You can't get more patriotic than that.
And with that said, would Jim Sherman and Jim Fisher please come up here so they can see what you look like, guys? Right up here, gentlemen. Thank you. As I said earlier, these gentlemen saw a need and did something about it. 8 years of fighting red tape within the government, and they raised $80,000 with the help of the Knights. And the Knights of Columbus from Holy Family are here tonight, and they worked with Knights from around the area to raise that money. They've also made some improvements you didn't see on there. They rewired the building or into the hospital so that the veterans have a place to go, because you only could put so many in that building at a time. So with that said, recognition of accomplishment presented to James Sharman and James Fisher. Whereas, as a Vietnam veteran, I know all too well the problems facing veterans, especially at night for disabled veterans in VA hospitals. And whereas 7,300 veterans commit suicide every year due to depression, James Fisher and James Sherman saw the need for meaningful nighttime activities. And whereas they formed a partnership with the Amateur Astronomers Association of Pittsburgh, the Aspinwall VA Hospital, and the Knights of Columbus to raise $80,000 to build and equip an observatory on the hospital grounds, as well as man it with volunteers to educate the veterans about the nighttime sky. And whereas it took 8 years from the time they came up with the idea, overcome all obstacles, cut through the government red tape, solved technical issues before the first Star Party was held. Jim Sturman and Jim Fisher never gave up. They overcame all the problems to turn their idea into reality. And whereas this program was the first of its type for any VA hospital, and the concept of star parties, which provide direct telescope viewing as well as remote viewing in the hospitals via individual computers. And whereas through their efforts in leading the program, developing the partnerships, raising the funds to build the observatory, obtaining the telescopes, wiring and viewing rooms as a popular new activity was created to reduce nighttime depression. And whereas they demonstrated that with imagination, determination, and perseverance, all obstacles in developing a new nighttime activity to help veterans and overcome one of the main causes of depression and help reduce suicides among those who have served their country. Therefore, I, as mayor, and this council wish to thank Jim Sherman and Jim Fisher for all their efforts in making Plum proud to have them as residents. And we encourage all to emulate their example in solving problems, especially a mental health issue, through innovation and voluntary action. Signed this 10th day of September 2025, Harry R. Schlegel, Mayor. Now, these two gentlemen, I met with them separately, and neither one of them wanted to be recognized. I told them I really didn't care. For what they did, I was going to recognize them whether they were here or not. And I'm really glad they showed up so that we could recognize what these two gentlemen did for veterans. This is good. Oh, they want a picture out there.
If the other gentleman would like to come over too, so you can get a picture.
Yeah, they're nice. Jim, this is yours.
Harry, can you come down and too? Sorry,
You know they're going to harass me about delaying the meeting, but that's okay.
sorry. We'll move fast. You guys all can maybe come over here and we'll all get your picture taken together. That would be great.
Thank you, guys. I want to thank these two.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. And just when you think it's over, I have one more.
You came back, I thought you were leaving too.
And there's another gentleman in our community who does exceptional things. And that is Joe Risher. Joe, would you come up here, please? Now, Joe is a retired Allegheny County officer, and he's done a lot of things to help kids. Whereas, Patrol Officer Joseph Richer was hired by Allegheny County Police in July of 2013 and was assigned to Pittsburgh International Airport. And whereas, in 2017, Joe began to patrol the borough of Wilmerding. While working as a daylight patrol officer, Joe began working with the Head Start preschool program in Wilmerding. He read to the children every week and organized a toy giveaway at Christmas. When the Westinghouse Academy of the Arts opened in 2018, Joe began to work with the school in addition to his patrol duties. And whereas in June 2018, Joe was assigned full-time as the department's community relations officer. Joe taught safety programs at daycares, preschools, and primary schools throughout Allegheny County. He partnered with the AAA on many of the programs. As a community relations officer, Joe also worked with Camp Cadet in the summer and worked extensively with the Stuff a Store initiative to provide toys to underprivileged children at Christmas. And whereas one of Joe's most successful ventures was Allegheny County Communities and Police Together. Joe was one of the founding members of ACAP. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly or not. ACAP brought community relations officers from the various departments of Allegheny County together to share resources and ideas. And whereas Joe retired from the Allegheny County Police in 2023 after 10 years of service, his retirement did not stop his desire to help, and he has continued to help our police and the Plum community. During the annual Stuff a Store event at Christmas, he made sure that the Plum children on the list he received, each received 2 to 3 toys. He also donated one of the tablets he received. And whereas, when informed there was a Renton junior firefighter that when the tones dropped, would run a mile to the station, Joe got a $200 grant from the Stuff a Store program to buy a bike. He soon discovered that $200 did not buy much of a bike. and he approached a bike shop, and using his charm, he charmed the owner to donate a $500 bike for the $200 cash he had. Joe and Crystal Icini pulled their money and purchased a helmet and lights for that bike. Therefore, be it resolved that I, as mayor, along with this council, wish to honor and thank Joe Risher for his dedication to helping children, especially the children of Plum. In so doing, I, Harry R. Schlegel, call upon all citizens to help to renew and sustain the American spirit demonstrated by Joe Risher in emulating his example and committing themselves to address the needs of Plum Boro through voluntary action. Signed this 10th day of March, 2025. Joe, thank you.
Girl, stand up. As me.
One more? Oh, yeah, we can't have that. One more?
Okay, great. All right, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, guys.
Real quick though, Mayor, it's about, I've got to thank Lanny for always participating in the program that I needed other officers for, and that community's increasing the other group that I started, as well as Officer Anchini, who is the one who noticed the need, and that Groton volunteer firefighter, and she came to me for us to make something happen. So, thank you.
And that, sir, is all I have at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. Brings us to civic announcements.
Good evening. I'm Pam Kalfa with the Plum Library. I just wanted to let everyone know that our spring book sale is Saturday, April 5th at the library from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. If anyone is interested in donating any books for the sale or any DVDs or CDs, we'll be collecting donations starting on Monday, May 24th through April 3rd. So please be sure to stop by the library book sale. It also kicks off National Library Week, which is in April. And thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Pam. Anyone else with any civic announcements? Okay. Moves us to President's comments. Pardon me. I do have one thing tonight, and it's in regards to the new way that the Water Authority is no longer doing the billing for the sanitation and the flood fee. There is no price increase. The Water Authority could no longer maintain sending out those bills, and so it was cost prohibitive for the borough to do it on a monthly basis. So since we have already had a relationship with Keystone, that was the most economical way to go about doing it. But there is no price increase. You can do it one payment, and I think you get a 2% discount by the end of March. You can do it quarterly, and I mean, there's no price increase. And that's the reason it got changed. The Water Authority could no longer maintain doing it. And so there have been some minor things that we have found that we have corrected, and that's why the bill was a little late going out, but it'll be on time in the upcoming years. That's all I have on that. Citizens' comments on agenda items. No one? If anyone wishes to leave, you don't have to sit there for the whole meeting. If you guys want to sit there, that's great. But if you want to get up and go, you're more than free to. That moves us to council actions. And first up, Mr. Majernik, the Planning and Economic Development Committee, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to adopt resolution number 1025-25, granting conditional use approval CU-03-24 for use of a modular office trailer located at 444 Holy Family Way, block and lot number 738-F-320.
I have a motion presented on the floor by Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to adopt resolution number 1026-25, authorizing the submission of a watershed restoration and protection grant.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's all.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Seitz, behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. On behalf of the Personnel Management Committee, I move to adopt Resolution 1027-25, authorizing the destruction of certain municipal records in accordance with the Records Retention Act.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Majernik. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Also, on behalf of the Personnel Management Committee, I move to make a conditional offer of employment to Brian Bergren for a skilled laborer position in the Public Works Department.
Motion on the floor presented by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second? I have a second by Ms. Rossler. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Also, on behalf of the Personnel Management Committee, I move to appoint Dave Forkosh as an alternate to the Zoning Hearing Board.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second presented by Mr. Taylor. Do I have any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Also, on behalf of the Personnel Management Committee, I move to accept the patrol corporal list as certified by the Civil Service Commission.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Majernik. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And finally, on behalf of the Personnel Management Committee, I move to appoint Nicholas Iacchini to the position of patrol corporal effective immediately.
Motion on the floor presented by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Well, at this time, Officer Iacchini is here, I believe, and
Yeah.
the mayor is going to swear him into this position.
Officer, come on up. You get to spend a few more minutes with Harry.
And Corporal, I'm glad to see you're in the proper uniform tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now, just remember this. You may be a corporal, but at home, you're like the rest of us, man. You take orders. Would you raise your right hand, please? I, Nick Iacchini,
I, Nick Iacchini,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the constitutions of the United States
that I will support the constitutions of the United States
and of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and the ordinances of Plum Boro,
and the ordinances of Plum Boro,
and will well and faithfully perform
and well and faithfully perform
the duties imposed upon me
the duties imposed upon me
as a corporal of the Plum Boro Police Department
as a corporal of the Plum Boro Police Department
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability,
And I will serve the United States,
and I will serve the United States,
the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and the Borough of Plum
and the Borough of Plum
honestly and faithfully.
honestly and faithfully.
I will obey all the orders of the officers
I will obey all the orders of the police officers
and officials placed over me
and officials placed over me
according to law.
according to law.
Corporal, thank you. Congratulations. I just need to- One is yours. One goes to me, and one goes to the chief. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Sorry. Send someone a text. Multitasking.
I'm gonna sit down, take their picture.
Are you gonna come down? Okay.
Get my exercise. I'm glad I got my pet counter on.
You coming too? Great.
We're gonna put some beauty in there. Bye, Ariana.
Okay.
Come on up, Maverick. Hold on. Maverick, come on up. He's gonna stand by Mom.
Okay, this is great. All right, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Rossler, there's nothing on public safety. Moves us to Mr. Taylor. Parks and Recreation, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of Parks and Recreation Committee, I move to change, On behalf of the Parks and Recreation Committee, I move to change the date of Winterfest to one-day event on December 5th, 2025.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Taylor. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Schlock. Do I have any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, that's it for you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Schlock, behalf of the Finance Committee, please.
Thanks, Mr. President. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to approve Ordinance 987-25, guaranteeing lease rental debt for water and sewage bonds for the Plum Boro Municipal Authority in an amount not to exceed $14,150,000.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Schlock. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Do I have any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Purcell, Roads, Equipment and Grants.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Roads, Equipment and Grounds Committee, I move to adopt resolution number 1028-25, offering a garbage discount for temporarily unoccupied houses.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Purcell. Do I have a second? I have a second by Ms. Rossler. Any discussion?
Quick question.
Sure.
What's the discount?
Yeah, so this is a carryover from when the authority did the billing. So there was a discount offered. So if you read the resolution, it's up to 4 months, and your garbage fee, not your stormwater fee, your garbage fee is waived completely. But there is a procedure outlined in the resolution in order to get that discount. So
That is for 4 months.
that is at a maximum. So
Okay.
it has to be a minimum. You can only do it once a year. So there were a lot of things in the resolution. But it is available, and we're continuing to offer that as the authority had done when they did the billing.
Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, that moves us to the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our uniformed officers responded to 853 calls for service during the month of February, and that's 11.8% decrease from the previous month. One of the things that I'm very proud of is a lot of the things that our officers do, and one of the things that they did this past month, on February 7th, our department, it's very appropriate, Cops and Donuts event at the Plum Middle School. Our officers sat down and interacted with the students by having casual conversation and eating donuts. And they're very good at that, by the way. This event provides a human element to the police with the students by engaging with them in a very positive manner rather than a sometimes negative manner. And thoughtful citizens, on February 13th, again, Pat and Stan Kazmarski delivered mini cupcakes as a Valentine's Day treat for our officers for their continued service to our community. And again, on February 28th, Michael's Cerniglia of Michael's Painting provided donuts from Oakmont Bakery to our officers for their continued service to the community. And that is very much appreciated by the officers down there. And as I've said every month since I took office, they never invite me down for coffee and donuts. Mr. President, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moves us to committee reports. And first up is the Intergovernmental Cooperative Committee with the school district. We did meet this past month, and several of the things we talked about. At the state level, there's discussion about some kind of a tax break for volunteer fire department members. It's in the infancy stages, but at least it's getting discussed. Hopefully that takes some foothold and moves forward. The junior council person, these two wonderful people will be moving on soon, and so we're looking for the replacements. So hopefully we get someone as good as you guys. It's been a pleasure having both of you. I hope that you have come away with this with a better understanding of what gets done here at the local level. Good deal. The firefighters have been given permission and to train by the Water Authority at the school district properties. So that's moving forward. That's something we've been working on. So thank you for the municipal authority, Mr. Benora. And we talked about the capital projects that they're doing. And there's quite a few of them. So that's what we talked about in a nutshell. Mr. Seitz, Personnel Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. So staff is currently reviewing 20 applications for the part-time custodian position that were submitted and received between February 14th and February 19th. The job posting has been removed and interviews will be scheduled soon. Applications for the Public Works Supervisor position are still being accepted with 24 submissions currently under review. That's my report for tonight.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Schlock, Finance.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. President. Finance Committee report. Prior to mid-March, it is expected that Mayor Dusso, our independent auditor, will be forwarding a draft 2024 DCED audit report and legal ad. The Finance Director will review the report and ad for correctness and forward any recommended revisions to the auditor. For 2025, the borough has a tax anticipation note with Dollar Bank totaling $1.5 million. To date, we have yet to draw from the note, and this will lead to savings and interest expenses for the 2025 budget year. For the month of February, general fund revenues totaled $1,274,979, and expenditures were $998,012. A few noteworthy revenues for February are earned income tax, $559,079, local services tax, $58,928, cable TV franchise fees, $131,125, sanitation fees, $408,736, and then some of the larger expenses for the period were police salaries, $199,452, snow removal product for salt, $130,716, and then street light electricity, $31,942. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Schlock. Mr. Purcell, Roads, Equipment, and Grounds.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. Roads, Equipment, and Grounds, the 2025 paving contract has been awarded to Tresco Paving Corporation. The paving work will be done in August. The 2025 military banner program is up and running. Chai Signs will be producing the banners again this year. There is a link accessible on the borough's webpage for residents to purchase the banners. The cost of the banner is $145 plus tax. The application deadline is April 30th. The banners will be displayed along Mike Thomas Way from Memorial Day through Veterans Day. And that is all I have, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Purcell. Ms. Rossler, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. The only thing that I have is, the last I heard, the stipend program for the fire departments are on track to start April 1st. So that's all I have for safety, but Mr. Maloney is present to give his report from EMS.
Am I on?
Yeah.
Works for me. All right, so thank you very much. Brian Maloney, Director of Operations, Plum EMS. As always, I appreciate the opportunity to be here to present to all of you. The last 3 months have just been absolutely crazy for Plum EMS. December, we set a record for number of responses and transports. January, we beat that. Now, February, we cut that month a little short because there's only 28 days, but they still set a record for the month of February ever. So it's just unbelievable to see the crews and how hard they've been working. We ended up responding to 260 calls throughout the month, transported 164 patients. We responded to mutual aid or neighboring communities 30 times throughout the month, transported 26 of those patients, and we needed mutual aid into Plum 22 times. And so about 91.2% of the EMS, or need for EMS in this community, Plum EMS was able to handle. I give the crews 100% credit for that. They've just been outstanding. Along with running emergency calls, we actually did quite a bit throughout this past month as well. We had the opportunity to present for the Plum AARP, and that was an incredible presentation, great group of people. We ended up doing, continuing our child safety program, in which we did 8 car seat safety checks, and we gave away 3 free car seats and 1 free crib to a family in need. So we were really focusing and trying to help the community as much as we can. And then just recently, for the second year in a row, we were invited to the Read Across America at O Block Elementary with the Plum Boro School District. And I had a chance to read to 4th graders, which, what a tough group that is. But it was actually kind of nice. I got to read one of my favorite books that I had as a child. It's called The Wreck of the Zephyr. And the teacher set it up so the students could see the illustrations as well. It was an incredible thing, and such good energy within that school and the school district itself. And I can't say how proud I was to be able to be a part of something like that. So other than that, questions, comments, a little story to make me smile?
Wait, I got a question. What is The Wreck of Zephyr about?
I've
never heard that book.
It's a Chris Van Allsburg book. Have you ever watched Polar Express, Jumanji? That's the same author that did this book, and it's about a boy who who basically sailed a boat, got stuck somewhere, and he learned to fly it above the water. And the students learned the trick that you got to understand your limitations, because he tried to fly it over land and it crashed. So, but it was a good book, and the students were great. You know, we had a really good time. So I hope I get invited again next year.
All right.
So, anything else? All right, I appreciate it. Everybody have a good night.
Thanks, Brian. You too. Anything else? Okay. Mr. McJernick, Planning, Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. The Planning and Economic Development Report. The Planning Commission did not meet in February as an application was made but only accepted as complete. Code enforcement completed 82 residential and apartment occupancy inspections in February. They addressed and inspected 18 violations of junk and debris, abandoned vehicles, vacant structures, rodents, and occupancy violations. That concludes the report.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Taylor, Parks and Rec.
Thank you, Mr. President. The construction, along with the painting of the metal dugout frames for the PBSA Field Number 8 was completed in-house by our folks. Plum Creek Park Pavilions Number 1 and 2, Larry Mills Park Pavilion, are available for rental from October 1st to October 31st. Rentals can be made on the borough website. Due to the abundance of participation in last year's Pop Can Tab Collection Program, the borough will continue collecting the tabs in 2025. Locations will be posted at our website within the upcoming weeks with all participating locations. Borough Haps events, Friday, March 14th, start of kids basketball camp hosted by Jumpstart Sports. Every Friday night through April 18th, registration closes March 21st. Sunday, March 16th, open gym from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. basketball, pickleball, etc. Saturday, April 12th, breakfast with the Easter Bunny at our banquet hall. Seats are still available from 11 a.m. For 11 a.m. seating, register online. Saturday, April 19th, Borough Cleanup Day. Dave, what time and where should everybody meet?
So, first of all, I think if you want to sign up, we have a jot form online. I don't know if it's hit the website yet, but look for it in the next few days. Typically, we kick off here in our banquet room with hopefully nice weather and the garage door open at 8 a.m. We have some prizes, and then usually and some refreshments, and everyone's usually out the door ready for activity at about 8:45.
Perfect. One last thing, I'd like to also thank our junior council members for coming down and being a part of us, and I wish you guys good luck down the road in your future endeavors. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. And now the junior council reports. Mercy, if you want to start.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. This week, winter sports finished up very strong with select members of both the swimming and wrestling teams making it to states, including wrestler Elena Clausen placing second in the state and Sophia Davis as 7th. Spring sports trials have been completed and are starting practices. All grades have selected classes for the next school year, and the last 9 weeks begins next week.
So our Plum Robotics team has been preparing for their preliminary competition on Thursday, and they're expected to do very well considering last year their 2 teams placed first and second out of 25 teams. Plum recently hosted a chess tournament that featured around 8 schools, and Plum senior Kevish Pius placed first place out of the 70 competitors. And up and coming, the high school musical, which is Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, we'll have 3 showings, which are April 3rd through 5th, and finally there are 79 more days until graduation.
You're not counting, are you? Thank you. Okay, we have the last thing on our agenda, and that is if anyone wants to speak. Oh, I'm sorry, DJ, engineer's report. Charlie.
All right. Yeah, I'll just touch on a few things we've worked on over the past month. We completed a review for the GeoSolutions yard operations. That's the conditional use you guys heard this last week. The Barnes Road slide repair project, we were getting great interest in that project. That's to repair the slide on Barnes Road. We have like 15 bidders that have already picked up bids, so hopefully we'll get some good numbers on that project in the bid. Parkside Phase 2, the developer has cambered the lines. We were out there watching them, make sure that the storm sewers looks good before the further dedication. We did find one mistake that they are going to correct, so glad we did that. Other than that, we did some preliminary investigation down on Drennan Road. We got notified that the culvert is in rough shape and is failing, so we met with Plum and are looking into that situation. Those are some of the newer highlights, and happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions for Charlie? Okay, that concludes our reports now. So that moves us to citizens' comments on any non-agenda item that you need or would like to come up and discuss. Seeing none, I need an adjournment. I have a motion by Mr. Schlock, a second by Mr. Majernik. All those in favor? Motion carries. We are adjourned.